Okay, we are here finally with Gil Hedley, who is, you consider yourself a somanaut.
I do. You too. I consider you a somanaut.
And yes, okay, right, because we're somanauts because.
I'm not greedy with the term.
But you are, what would be your title? Do you have a title?
I'm that guy.
That likes to look at bodies and so.
Yeah, that's plenty. That's awful plenty. Titles have a way of being, separating rather than unifying. So I'm not that into them.
You know what? Me too. And Joseph Pilates. I'm trying to see if I can get you next to me. Hold on.
Wow, that's
me now.
friendly.
I'm up here. You're okay. Well, I don't know. Well, I think my recording does that. So, okay. So Pilates. So I'm a Pilates teacher. Just a little reminder. And my entire purpose of my career is to help other Pilates teachers to teach pre and postnatal clients.
Nice.
And we use the word client now instead of woman because there are now women who are I don't know if they're going through sex change or what they're doing, but it's basically a woman who was born as a woman, but they're a man now, but they can still get pregnant. So I'm real careful trying to be as inclusive as possible, saying client and trying not to exclude, even though the population is very small. So I use the word client instead of woman, even though it is a female body. My biggest thing is that we humans, we have energy. We are giving off energy all the time. And as a Pilates teacher, spending 2 to 3 hours a week with a person, your energy affects that other person.
Yeah. And
then that other person is growing another human. And so then it affects that growing human. And the reason why I am so obsessed with your work is because you have been able to take the body and basically just change the focus. And I'll tell you what got me was when it was one of your videos that you did with Anna. And you were able to get her entire adipose tissue off of her, like in a sheet, right? And you said the most beautiful thing about basically how society, frowns upon this layer. Yet that is basically what a woman's intuition is. It is a part of her. And when you do your dissections and you show these amazing parts of our body, you show that sunlight can get through it, and how similar it is to nature. And it's just the awe of the body. And so my focus is really helping these clients and Pilates teachers begin to see their bodies as the miracle that they are, rather than whatever ideal has been placed in our minds through media.
Yeah, it's a bit of work, and helps if it's a conscious choice to grow up and mature relative to the narrative about the body that's been served to us for a long time in our culture. That is a negative narrative, a narrative that problematizes the body, that makes it a problem, makes your body a problem, and makes every aspect of your body a problem, convinces you that you've got a problem, and then commodifies the solution and sells it to you hard. And if you wanted to sum up all my teaching on that, it's don't buy it. Like, don't buy it. Because when we buy it, we're not actually growing in our own self-perception, but adopting someone else's and paying them to fix it, when there's actually a lot less fixing that needs doing than we tend to believe when we buy into that story. And that's why I say we have to kind of mature relative to that story. So, as children, we take on our parents' narratives and Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, it's all good. I mean, it's not, it's not meant harmfully, and
Right.
Yet at some point you mature relative to those stories, and you're like, okay, my folks we're lovingly creating these loving stories about being cared for ultimately.
Yeah.
So, but their care goes beyond those stories, right? And there's a higher truth to the care, that's been wrapped in a fantasy that may be appropriate for a child. And so you grow up, and it's the same. It's not all that different, except that I'm less convinced of the benevolence of the storytellers. And yet, still, the task for us is to consciously mature and to say, oh, I'm actually good here. I'm good, thank you. I'm not a problem. I actually, my body is good. It's fucking amazing. And
thank you. I love that.
Yeah, it's a miracle, and it's not a fixed thing that's supposed to look the same all the time. In fact, one of the amazing parts of this miracle is that you'll never get bored, because the body is not the same for 10 seconds ever. It's ever changing. It's going through a life cycle. We did time as one-celled creatures. Who would believe it? But yes, every one of us, every person you've met on the street did time as a one-celled creature, did time as a little tadpole-y looking thing, did time as a little squiggly, furry, monkey looking thing. All these weird things that we've passed through. We've cycled our being through this a very changing thing. And then, of course, we can look back at pictures of ourselves as a child, and we think when we look in the mirror, yeah, that's still me. And yet we look at the picture of the child and like, who was that? You can almost hardly recognize yourself. Or as a teen, or myself 10 years ago, I was looking at some lab pictures the other day, and I was like, damn, I was young and handsome at one point. What happened? And so, but the thing is, that's guaranteed. That's a guaranteed thing. We are variable. That is the watchword of humanity. We're variable from person to person, from body to body, and from time to time, from area of our body to other areas of our body. We are variable. And once we kind of get that as a defining characteristic of our humanity, then when we change from a child to an adolescent to a hot 20s something or other to someone who's been through a lot or suffered the slings and arrows of the outrageous fortune of life on this planet, and moved into stages of compensation relative to those challenges. That's okay. That's the deal here. You don't have to go hurry to get your eye crows tightened out of your existence. They're cool. They look good. They're hot. They're like, fuck, I don't want to, I'm not attracted to, in other words, we're all sexual beings throughout our whole life. Right. And it's like, I don't want someone who looks like they're 20. Gross. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want me a grown up. I want some wrinkles. I want to know what I'm getting into here. Someone with some maturity, so it's like, so don't buy it, just don't buy it. Don't buy that tale. Look in the mirror. That's what you buy. That's what you bought. That's what you got. And it's unfucking believably good. what you're looking at there.
Well, that's why I love diving into your work, because I mean, as you know, I mean, it doesn't matter what you look like, whether you are the ideal or not. Everyone deals with looking in the mirror and not liking something, because we have been fed over and over again anti-aging, Botox, tight butt, and
bricks on your belly. That's ridiculous.
Bricks on your belly, right?
Like, we're just not. I mean, it exists, but it's a cruel ideal.
Right.
It's literally cruel. And self-imposed, because again, you don't have to accept it. I mean, there are times when certain beings have a genetic disposition towards transparency in their abdominal wall. Now, why that should become something that everyone should have to have or work towards, as if it's some kind of goal that we should all look like comic book characters, is quite ridiculous. And then some people are endowed that way somewhere in their body, but not everywhere. And then they're hating themselves because they've got it here, but not there. And the hate just doesn't stop. I mean, don't think that because someone's pretty or seems to approximate the ideal that they don't hate themselves. We're in a body hating culture. In fact, the closer you get to it, the more you hate yourself, because then you see the difference,
Yeah.
So folks, some folks who are just like not even on that track, thank goodness they don't, this isn't like they gave up on that one long ago and they've accepted themselves, and the people who are closer to it are probably suffering more.
Exactly. So I grew up as a dancer, as a ballet dancer, modern dancer in college. I'm in Las Vegas. So I did the showgirl thing, and I notice in myself still, it's that feeling of having to, because you're always being watched as a dancer, right? Like that's your job, to perform.
Yeah.
And still, I'll be 46 this year, and I'm just working to let that go still.
Yeah.
When it's been 20 years since I was on stage, but still just, it really is. So I think, like you just said, people that are closer to it suffer more. And at the same time though, it's that fine line between feeling good about yourself and who you are, and doing the things what make you feel good about yourself and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Who's influencing that?
Yeah. And in terms of feeling good about yourself, like, what are the metrics there? Like, in other words, is it because you literally feel good? Like, close your eyes, smash the mirror. Do you feel the life energy in your body? Do you feel it? Are you present to the outrageous presence of your heart beating in your chest and pulsing throughout your body? Can you feel your sex, moving in you and giving you energy? Can you pause for that? Or are those things not even on the table, and feeling good about yourself actually means, yeah, I got my eyes done, or whatever, or my boobs, and now I feel good. It's going to be very temporary, because and I'm not saying don't get your eyes done or don't get your boobs done. Like, I really don't care. I mean, we're in a self-crafting environment on this earth, so my daughter's a tattoo artist. She spends days, drawing on people permanently, and she's drawn on permanently. She loves it. It's fun. Like, I don't care what you do. I honestly don't care, but do you actually feel good?
Yeah.
Or is that a Band-Aid over actually never having even tried to sense the goodness that can be felt in your body? Because it's profound. It's scandalous, actually.
I like that word.
Yeah, it's scandalous. The kind of good feelings that human bodies are designed to enjoy, we don't talk about. We don't even talk about it, because we can talk about how bad we feel. That's our culture, not how good we feel. So it's like, wait a second, just literally just close your damn eyes, like,
And feel.
and notice the breath going in and ask yourself, does that feel good? It happens, 20,000 times a day.
Mhm.
And it feels good, actually. Your heart, beats 120,000 times a day inside your chest, 100,000 times a day inside your chest.
100,000 times. That's amazing.
100,000 times. So like lie down or sit down, put your hand on your chest. It's a good feeling. Feel that feeling. It's a free gift. It's right there for you. And when you realize, regardless of what body shape or size and whether it meets this week's fad on what you're allowed to look like, regardless of all that, do you feel good in the body that you have? And maybe you do, and maybe you don't. If you do, awesome, run with that, enjoy it, cultivate it, pay attention to it, and call that the good feeling about feeling good about yourself. And if you don't feel good, there might be different choices to make, to move into a place of joyful comfort in your body. You might want to take a walk once a day, you might to feel your breath,
right.
Right. In other words, because you might not feel good because you've been hunched over your computer for 12 hours or something, or you've been hunched over your telephone looking at pictures of other beautiful people who only look beautiful for that camera shot. And then 10 seconds later, they were like,
So my daughter is also a tattoo artist. She's
really, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow, this is like the convention of tattoo artist parents.
She's 24 and very successful here in Las Vegas.
Wonderful.
But here's the thing: she's starting to get lip injections.
Yeah, all those tattoo folks, they like to play with that stuff.
And so here's my question for you. When it comes to plastic surgery, where you're like physically starting to do this stuff, in the dissections you have done, what can you tell us about scar tissue and what that does to a body from what you've seen? Like, let's say breast augmentation. Let's just say that.
Okay. Well, that kind of scar tissue, as opposed to like a wound or something. Well, that's all. There was also a wound there, but there's actually I have looked at that. I've dissected that. I've taken many pictures of it. It's fascinating. From a driving by a car crash kind of thing. But because the thing I don't mind if people get their breasts augmented. I really don't care. What I want is informed consent, and I don't see it happening because people don't know what actually happens inside their bodies when a foreign object is placed inside of it. Your immune system is functioning. It kicks in and it says, "This ain't me." It tries to eat it. It fails. And since it's like that double D cannot be digested by a T cell. I'm sorry. So what happens is it walls it off, right? So your body walls off that implant. It creates a connective tissue envelopment or encasement even so that you stop giving yourself the signal to get rid of it, right? In other words, okay, I'm just not going to allow my poor, gullible immune system to fall for this task of removing this object. Can't push it out, can't eat it. So we're going to have to wall it off and just pretend it's not there. And so that development of a fascial encasement of the breast implant can then, impinge movement, breath, right? Because it's scar tissue, basically. And so, the first time I saw the encasement around a breast implant, I literally thought it was part of the gizmo. I thought it was like some Tupperware thing that they put in with it, as part of the deal. What did I know? And then I was like, oh no, oh my gosh, this is what the body produced to encase this thing. And so, and I've seen, multiple iterations of this in different ways, and it can be more or less dramatic depending upon when it was put in and whether a person, took care of it, and it's like you have to move and rub those babies for the rest of your life to keep it from getting too agglomerated, too stuck. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. like everybody help, I need my breast rubbed, or whatever. Again, I'm not preaching against it. We had a visitor to a lab once of a woman who had breast implants, and he was like, we loved them. I was like, that's awesome. Like they wanted us to see them. Like, these are great. Yeah. And I took it that way. I was like, it's fucking awesome. In other words, if you say you lost 10% of your breath capacity from having a breast implant, but you only use 50% of your breath capacity, you don't care if you lost 10% of something you never used, right? So, but if you're an athlete and you go that road and you lose 10% of your breath capacity or something, then you're off the platform. You know what I'm saying? You're lost. That's it. Your career is over. So it's very relative, In other words, there's pros and cons, and they're very relative, but the physical effects are real and should be understood when you are playing with yourself that way. That's all.
Do you have a dissection in your membership in any of the videos? Of a female that have had with the breast implants?
Yeah, I have. I think it's in one of my slideshows.
Okay.
It's either in the Integral Anatomy Intensive, which you can watch for free. It's my Easy Rider free membership. Or it might be in my. I think it's there. Okay. Either that, or it's in my. I don't know if it was in my Fuzz Tour talk. I can't remember.
Okay. All right. So so your membership, I was so excited whenever I saw that you were doing that. Number one, just from a business standpoint, because memberships are, that reoccurring revenue is amazing, is it not? Like having that reoccurring revenue.
Gotta eat.
And you're allowed to, that's one of the things I do is help teachers understand, like, it's okay to make money. Like, it's okay that you're taking care of yourself. And, but anyway, so that's why I was excited about that. And it's only $15 a month.
I tried to make it so ridiculous a value that it would literally be an inconsequential and incidental thing to adopt it and then go for volume. My business model for my whole career was a few people in a very expensive class, the laboratory classes, and that worked out well enough. But I kind of feel bad for all the people who can't come to my classes. And so first I made the DVDs, which I thought was an affordable way, to come in to the class. But then I was like, even $160 is too much for people in South America or Africa or something, It's just, so it is actually, it's very expensive somewhere else in the world. And I was like, so I gave those away. I was like, I'll just watch them. And then the membership, we debated a lot about, how to price that, because the content is kind of absurd. You take one of the laboratory live streams, as a for credit class, and pretty much cover the year. Yeah. Right. And there's 10 times, there's literally more than there's a ridiculous amount of content. And I'm going to be doubling it in the next 6 months.
It's amazing. Can I ask how many members you have?
I don't know.
You know?
I got a bunch.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was so excited to say.
Yeah, they come and go, they come and then people
Yeah.
come and they stay for a while and then they go and then other people come and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm paying the bills.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean,
awesome.
I'm planning to grow it massively. I mean, to me, I have, what did I do? I made an email and I announced it on Facebook and folks came, which is wonderful and sweet. And also, my audience could be enormous in terms of who really needs the content that I'm producing for their education or for their upliftment. And so I'm very optimistic that my audience will grow considerably from where it is right now, especially when I've completed, uploading the A to Z project, which then enables any curriculum on the planet to have access to a comprehensive source of support videos that could complement whatever they're teaching. So anyone who studies the body, or any teacher could, assign to their students, say, watch these videos here, this one, and pick and choose as you want. Or, do what I'm doing is starting at video 1 and working my way through, literally hundreds and hundreds of hours of content too. And it's compelling to me. It's shocking because I put it up there and I mean, I did it, but I didn't see it. I did it. I didn't see the video as what was being shot. It was opposite. I'm like upside down and backwards and I'm like dissecting like this for the camera so other people can see, or so the camera's literally in front of me and I'm like looking over it to try and dissect. And so that was my view when I was doing it. And now as I edit it, I'm like, damn, this stuff is cool.
It is so cool and just so vital. And you're right. We do need to grow. I'm going to help you like get this out there because yes, everybody needs to know. The A to Z project, is that part of the free or is that part of the membership?
That's part of the membership.
Okay.
Yeah, the free membership, which is great. It's got like 20 plus hours of content, has 3 courses: the Integral Anatomy series videos, the Integral Anatomy intensive videos, which were shot in I did this tour for many years where I traveled around the world teaching the Integral Anatomy intensive. It was a day-long event. And I basically told the story of integral anatomy through slides and culture critique. And then I did the Fuzz Tour talk, which was to 46 cities in 2017. I recorded that. And so the free membership includes all of that, which is, I don't know, my whole career arc, and sold a la carte would have been about $450, but it's like, whatever, I'm on a mission. And also I threw in there a little mini course on the pars intima models that I've developed, both the clay and the silver, and the little chat I had for about an hour with Sue Hitzman, an hour and a half about that on one of my Live with Gil sessions. I just put that into the free membership too.
That's awesome. Oh, that would be great. You know what? I'm going to send my students to that because that will have a lot of meaning, obviously, when it comes to birth and.
Oh, they got to watch that. That's why I put it out there. My sister's a midwife and nice. And was a doula trainer, wrote doula trainings and is a baby catcher. I think she's catching 26 babies this year. She's a busy gal. And so I'm, like I said, I'm on a mission. I'm trying to give people's body back to themselves, because I feel like they've, cultures run off with it and we need to give it back.
Okay. So yeah, let's get into that for a few minutes. So your mission is, would you say?
I would say it's to rebrand the body.
I love it. As
a gift rather than a problem, because the body has been branded as a problem.
Yes.
And so let's rebrand the body as good, and then embrace that, learn about that, go into it, like be amazed. Because you're walking around in like some of the fanciest technology ever.
Yeah.
forget about your damn computer and your phone and all that crap. You are walking biological technology of an order of magnitude of capacity that we grossly underestimate, that we don't even imagine our potential, that we don't even try. We turn doorknobs, we buy Wonder Bread, we complain about our taxes, which is legitimate, while all legitimate, actually. My uncle lived on Wonder Bread and peanut butter, but it's like, what if we tap into the actual, capacities, the capacity, our capacity to focus and intend, our capacity to imagine and create, our capacity to experience ecstasy in a way that ramifies through our day, our culture, and literally our universe. If we pause for that, make a little space for the experience and expression of our potential, then our bodies aren't burdens, they're tools for manifesting amazing things.
Yeah. Okay, so I have this, you've probably seen this before, the energy stick.
No, I've never seen that.
Okay, so it's a positive, negative. I don't really know how it works. You could probably tell me how it works, but basically the sound isn't working, but you can see the flashing, right? So all I'm doing is it's the energy coming off my body.
Yeah.
And I use that to try to teach teachers that they physically have energy coming off their body. So what's actually happening here?
You're a battery. Just like it said in the Matrix. And Tesla played with all kinds of toys like this. Tesla endlessly amazed people by like holding light bulbs in his hand and having them, light up, charging the air around himself, and then becoming a conductor of that voltage that was ambient voltage. We are energy beings. It's really true. Light is emanating from us in frequencies that are different than what our eyes perceive normally. So we literally are light emanators. And if because of the kind of the range of frequency that our eyes are designed to perceive in, that's not the end of the electromagnetic spectrum, right? It goes well beyond that. So we're literally just like walking around light bulbs and beautiful, and some of us see it, and sometimes you see it. Like when there's a speaker on the stage and they're really into what they're talking about, and there's like a black curtain behind them or something. And if you pay attention even the slightest bit, their aura will be so obvious to you under those specific conditions, although they're always present. Because we don't only see with our eyes, right? We think if we only saw with our eyes, we wouldn't be able to dream, we wouldn't be able to imagine. We can see, with more than our eyes. And so when we're seeing with more than our eyes, while our eyes are open, that can be trouble. We can call it schizophrenia, or we can call it clairvoyance. It depends on your take and whether you can control it or not. If you can't control it, then we say you're crazy. And if you master it, then we say you're a shaman.
I learned from, I do 100% online business. Like that's how I run my business.
Uh-huh.
So I have to learn as well how to run online business. And I do that from my business coach. His name's James Wedmore. And he works with a shaman. And he's actually the one that kind of got me into all of this energy, law of attraction stuff I know you came from a theology background. You have like a doctorate in theology, right? And I was a Christian, and well, I guess I still consider myself a Christian, but just, I mean, what you're talking about and how you talk about the body, how everything is connected. We are all connected. And one of the things I love and have been very inspired by you with is how you point out in your videos how similar we are to nature.
Not
And
similar,
so
not similar, but
the same.
we are nature expressing.
We are nature.
Yeah. In other words, I like to say we haven't been cast out of the garden. The garden is within us.
Okay.
Right? You want to go back to the garden? Go in. And so that the forms, once you've looked at the branching bronchioles in a lung, and then you look at a tree over there, you start to question, what is my body and who am I? Because I breathe out, and that tree breathes in, and the tree breathes out, and I breathe in. There's a mutual exchange that's happening from the same fractal forms. Why is that not me? In other words, why do I believe the story that my body is the inside of this skin thing? Like, what? Why have I fallen for that? Yeah. There's a certain level of functionalness to it. Like, it's one thing to grope yourself, and it's another thing to grope the stranger in the supermarket, right? So there's a social and cultural thing that we're operating in that is worthy of respect.
Right.
And then there are higher levels of reality or perceptibility about who we are. And you say, I am Alison Marsh. I say, I am Gil Hedley. I am Alison. I am Gil. I am. We've all got the same name. We're all walking around going, I am. Moses asked the friggin' burning bush, who are you? I am who I am. I'm Moses. I am. Just stop there. Because when you just stop talking, then you fall into connection. Because there's a baseline common thread that's running through us all that may be differently expressing. So then that's why mystics stop talking. That's why I'm not a mystic, because I never shut up.
We are nature. We are nature. I want to show you one of these things. You've inspired me.
It looks like Daisy. That's my friend.
I'm obsessed with this. Like, I have these all over my house now.
Nice.
Just looking at what these plants can do.
Yeah.
When you take them out of their environment and put it in water, and that they just grow, and how it's like the veins in our body. Yeah.
See, this is why when we look at nature, what we call nature as humans, like all that stuff out there, theoretically, we look at nature and we love it because of its fractal form. And it's the way that the fractal forms mirror our own fractal form, which is of nature. It's not separate from it. You know, the kicking out of the garden is the belief that you're other. What a shame. You know, when in fact there's a continuity of forms, there's a continuity of expression, there's a continuity of intelligence, of which we are an integral expression. And when we put ourselves, as we do, as we are prone to do, in boxy rooms, right, and sit at flat tables and chairs built at right angles, we're literally living in a mental construct. In other words, the human mind can imagine and produce those sorts of forms. Now, if you look really closely at any given surface under a microscope, you'll see it's actually not flat. You know, there's all sorts of, there's all sorts of gradients and stuff. And it takes, it takes the most advanced laser cutting equipment on the most carefully refined metals, to approximate a flat surface, the Euclidean geometry of the mind. We try and force it on nature, right? We take wood and we plane it flat and bolt it to other flat pieces so we can, whatever, live in that imaginary world. And then we step out of it and it's like, you take a deep breath, because as your own fractal form is bouncing off of these flat surfaces, it's exhausting for our systems to reflect into that mirror and not find ourselves there.
Oh, that's why nature, or being in nature, hiking, etc., is so healing.
Yeah.
Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, this is my people. These rocks, these mountains, these scalloped ocean waves coming onto the surface of the beach, that's your heart wave doing the exact same thing and being mirrored. The mirroring is incredibly supportive of our body acceptance. It's very hard to accept your body in a box. It's way easier to accept your body in nature, which is, producing these self-repeating patterns that are never perfectly symmetrical or perfectly anything, except perfectly doing that. They're perfectly repeating shapes and forms in elegant and amazing ways. Your heartbeat is a fractal expression. It's never the same. Not a single beat is exactly the same as the next one. Its length, its intensity, the rhythms are ever variable and ever changing, and that is health. When your heart assumes a very specific repeated pattern, you're dying. You're in a rut and you're about to cork.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's the variability, not the consistency.
So do you think, I remember in high school, they hooked me up to like a machine for like 24 hours because they said that I had a heart murmur.
Yeah. And they made you sit for 24 hours on a damn machine?
No, well, they hooked it up to me and I had to walk around with school and stuff. Yeah. So, I mean,
they cheaped out. They could have done an echocardiogram in 3 minutes and told you, but they didn't want to spend the money.
Maybe. Yeah. It was in the 90s.
Did you have a murmur?
I can't remember. All I know is that, but now that you're telling me that, I'm thinking just like in, Western medicine, like, are we making up problems?
Yeah, well, exactly. So a murmur, I have a tricuspid murmur. So, and for a little while there, if you had a murmur, then you had to like take antibiotics to go to the dentist. And so I just didn't go to the dentist for like 15 years. I waited them out. And after about 15 years, they were like, nah, you don't need to take antibiotics. It's fine.
Why antibiotics? What is that?
Because they thought that people with a murmur would be more susceptible to infections during mouth procedures.
Okay.
But it wasn't true. But 15 years of antibiotics got sold to people who had heart murmurs and wanted to go to the dentist. So we have all kinds of suggestions in our medical community that aren't always right on point. And anyone who's ever been to medical school knows that, like, on the first day of medical school, in every medical school that's ever existed, they say the same joke or truism, because the truth is often told in jest, which is that, you know, half of what we're going to teach you here is wrong, and we don't know which half.
At least they tell them that.
They tell them that. Yeah, but they don't tell everyone else that.
Right.
You know,
well, that's why they call it a practice. That's why they call it a practice.
Why they call it a practice, right? So, yeah, so a little bit of backwash in your valve, no big deal.
So let's see. I have your book somewhere.
Which one? I have a bunch of books. What do you got?
The one with, I think it's the pelvis, and you have like the heart of, what's the heart one?
The Heart of Service.
Yes, the Heart of Service.
Oh,
Yes.
that's nice. I like that book.
Yeah, I have that book. And of course you would think I would have it prepared, but I don't. It's in the other room. But I just am so impressed with your the respect that you have for the forms. You don't call them cadavers, you call them forms. You call them, and you give them name. You give these people that have donated their bodies for us to explore, somonauts, in such a respectful way. And that's contagious in itself. To respect the body, even, you know, as without life in it. Would you say, would you say that it still has life, even?
There's energy and forms of consciousness there for sure. But the personhood is not there. You have a diary of a person. You have a track. You have a track in the clay that you can interpret a story of a life from a track in a clay, right? Or if you're walking through the snow and you see a couple of people walking by in the snow, you can see the tread, you know, of their shoe. You can see the gait pattern. You know, you can see the pace. There's so much that can be read from a track, but the track is not the person, right? The lifeless form is not the person. But there's something there, and it's really cool, and it's an incredible pointer to life. It's like the tracks of water or the tracks of life's movement. So I enjoy that very much. I do use the word donor form, but I do use the word cadaver too. It's a very specific word that means an embalmed dead human body. But I am careful with my words because I like to try and put people's attention in certain places intentionally. You know, so I kind of steer, I sort of steer things. Like I call what many people would say, they say fat. Well, fat's like a curse word in our culture, right?
Yeah.
So what I try and do, I talk about superficial fascia, right? Which is the subcutaneous adipose layer. I talk about that a lot. And I try and, by talking about superficial fascia, I kind of bring people's attention to different aspects of adipose that they might not have considered or understood. And then that rehabilitates their perception of what fat is.
Yeah.
So it's a trick and an effective one, because you can't get people to talk about fat It's like saying, let's talk about God. And all of a sudden everyone's like trying to strangle each other. You can't get people to talk about fat or God or the flag, without, having one run through your throat. So you have to be careful if you really want to grow into community and relationship with people, you have to meet them where they are. And if they're very inflammatory about something or another, then you got to kind of got to do an end run there. So by talking about superficial fascia, people sit all day long and listen to me talk about superficial fascia. And then they'll be like, so is superficial fascia fat? Because it's really amazing. And I'm like,
yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Love it. I love it. I was really impressed with the dissection you did where you showed not cellulite, but stretch marks.
Stretch marks. Yeah, that was cool.
Well, so I'm sure like in pregnancy, the big deal is if you get stretch marks, they're putting, salves all over their belly, trying to get rid of it. And what you showed is that's impossible because it's happening from inside.
Yeah, there's a change in the structure of the dermis in those places. So, if you imagine, say, bubble wrap, and it has a bunch of bubbles, but if you kind of gently, slowly pulled bubble wrap, right, and the bubble circles got elongated and stretched, right? They got elongated and stretched, but they're not built out of a particularly elastic material, right? So when the collagenous circles, the bubble wrap, when those collagenous circles, those formations in the dermis of the skin get kind of blown out in a sequence that kind of follows a path. We call that a stretch mark. And it'd take I don't know, it's like, how much cream could you put on that bubble wrap to make it not be stretched out bubble wrap? No amount of cream. That having been said, it then becomes okay, maybe it changes the coloration of them. That's possible. Okay. It could, in other words, sometimes the stretch marks can be, there can be a color difference between the surrounding tissues that could certainly possibly be alleviated by different, treatments. So,
sure.
So they might be less visible, possibly, and therefore in the mind of the wearer, improved. Lots of people get stretch marks, and it's kind of like, consider it feathers in the cap.
Right. And I guess that's right. That's the argument, right? Is why are we trying to get rid of them in the first place? So, yeah.
Well, it's like trying to get rid of, quote, cellulite is a fool's errand.
Right.
That's like saying, I want to get rid of my kneecap because it's sticking out, that damn kneecap, get me a cheese grater because it's standing up too high. So those are literally it's transparent. It's the transparency of the structure of the tissue underneath it. That's the structure. It's not because you're dehydrated. Do we say, oh my God, the baby's dehydrated because its little ass is all pocked with and thighs are all cellulite, No, that's just a cute baby. But if it's on your 30-year-old ass, now you're just a ugly bitch. That's like how we do it in our culture. It's so fucked up, I don't even know what to say.
It is so fucked up. Yes.
It's like we kiss it, we cuddle it, and then 2 years later, it's like, get rid of it. It's like, you're not getting rid of it. It's not going away. The question is, what is your relationship with it? And this is why I started the conversation. We started the conversation with, what is are you taking on the culture's parameters for what's okay in your body, or are you taking on your body's parameters for what's okay in your body? Because your body has very different rules than your culture on what your body is and can be.
And that's why you have to hang out with people like you and really find, I think, I mean, that's the only way to do it, because I mean, the society's ideals are not going away anytime soon. So
they're changing. They change. Just look over the course of a century. They just change.
True, yeah.
They just change. They keep changing, and therefore you're never right.
Right. Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as a skinny person, you know, like I was made fun of. I was always the girl that was told to go eat a sandwich, you know, because I was
olive
so
oil.
thin.
You're like Popeye's girlfriend or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like it doesn't ever matter. Like it's and again, why I really love pointing people to your work, because it changes the focus. And my dream is that women, pre and postnatal clients, women, and Pilates teachers, really, because that's what it comes down to, right? Is what Pilates teachers, and I mean, I'm sure you know, in our industry, you know, I would say 50% of the Pilates teachers have this pretentious, they have to uphold this ideal, which is the thin, tall, right, long, lean muscles.
Yeah. So then the profession becomes very self-selecting, right? You just weed out anyone who's not that. So it's for this club, right? And things can be like that. Yoga is for stretchy, for the stretchy people. Gumby can take yoga. And then, I think there's a lot of nice progress in yoga, in addressing that and recognizing that Gumby is just a certain type of ligamentous organization as opposed to some sort of virtue, right? So as we can't make a certain body virtuous and then other ones vicious and treat them so, right? Because again, we are the variable creature. That's our thing. Like, I went to Haiti many years ago. I was doing some service with Mother Teresa's people. And in Haiti, I met one dog. There was only one dog there, at least maybe there are different dogs there now, but in 19, whenever it was, long time ago, there was one dog. It was kind of sad. Its ribs were sticking out. They were all the same color. Every dog in Haiti is one color, one size, one shape. It was just the generic dog, and they were licking mango pits in the streets and getting shoved out of the way or eaten. So it was a rough life for the one dog, but our human species will never be like that, right? Mm-hmm. In other words, we mate and mate and mate, and we don't get just into the generic dog form that is dog, that can be tweaked with, if you like, whatever, play with it. The humans will always be different. No matter, we keep fucking each other and we keep looking different. It doesn't, that's our thing, right? So when we pick a version of us, and say, that's the one, that's the dog we should all be, we're just fooling ourselves. Yeah.
I think it is getting better. You're right. Like, I'm starting to see, although let me finish my sentence. I'm starting to see models. For example, Lululemon is a brand. Mm-hmm. And they have what they call plus size models, mm-hmm. which I'm glad to see they're doing that variation. But then I just read that I'm reading a book about body image right now that said that even the plus size models wear form wear to soften their cellulite.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, so now you have to be a certain kind of plus, right? You have to be a soft plus. You can't have the cellulite. Yeah. Can we, let's see. Oh, it's already 11 o'clock. So I've already set, or for me, it's 11. For you, it's noon. Maybe let's wrap up, because I want to be very mindful of your time. And this went so fast for me. let's wrap up with what's just one piece of advice that you can give Pilates teachers on how to help them be more really secure within themselves. And then, of course, they can help to carry that to their clients.
Yeah, and you can't carry it to your clients unless you are, right? So how about this? How about the mirror that we look into to see ourselves is not that idealization of the human body. Like, just set that aside for a minute. Let's look into the funhouse mirror of the human body writ large, all the human bodies, right? And that each one of us is a unique and amazing iteration of this idea of a human body, which then what we see when we look at another person is not some misrepresentation of the ideal. When we look in the mirror, that's not some misrepresentation of the ideal, but rather it's a perfect representation of a unique expression. Right? So looking into the mirror of another person to witness their unique expression, you have your own unique expression mirrored back to you, and it don't require no fixing. So there's a little turnaround, a little thought reframing on what it means to witness yourself in another, or to compare yourself to another, or to some ideal. Like, put that aside and see in the mirror a beautiful, unique expression of humanity, and know that you are that too. It's very refreshing. Got it?
Amen. Yes.
Amen.
Amen. That is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I had fun.
My goal is to do your dissection course at some point, and hopefully within next 3 years, let's say. My kids are 6. Well, okay, so let's say I've got a 6-year-old, 11-year-old, 15-year-old, and then 20-year-old stepdaughter. One of them is the tattoo artist.
Congratulations.
So, you have like 3. You have 3. How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
You have 3. Yeah. So as they get older, I can leave for longer time, or just bring them with. They can go do something else, right? So you are Integral Anatomy, but it's gilhedley.com.
Correct.
It's Gil Hedley Somanat, I think, on Instagram.
I don't even know. My son does my Instagram. I couldn't tell you, like, find me on Instagram. I posted. I have no clue. But I do have I have my website, gilhedley.com, and I have a Somanat channel on YouTube.
I saw that. Yes, that's great. Yeah, I just started following you, and that talk that you had on the just reframing the idea, different perspective on origin and insertion, which was just so refreshing. Oh man, that's the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're the best, and I'm so grateful for you. And I'll see you in your next live, probably, that you do.
Great. Thanks, Alison.
Okay. Have a great day. I'll see you
too.
See you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.